On this week's edition of Power Talk, we are speaking with Stima DT Sacco, celebrating 50 years this year, talking about their achievements of the 50-year journey in their Sacco, as well as their contributions to members, but most importantly, the importance of the Sacco movement to the country's economic growth and development. And so this week, we're very happy to be joined by Dr. Gamaliel Hassan, who's the CEO of Stima DT Sacco. Thank you so much, Dr. Hassan, and welcome to Power Talk. Let's talk about Stima DT Sacco celebrating 50 years. What has that been like? We know you had your celebrations. Let's speak about that and what that celebration was like and what this means for you.
Thank you, Yvonne, and thank you for having me. We did celebrate our 50th anniversary just a few weeks ago, and it was a big event for us. I'd like to mention maybe 2 or 3 things specific around it. The first one is that we did have visitors coming in from across the globe, especially around Botswana, Malawi, Zimbabwe, the US, Zambia. And these are board members, chairmen of various SACCOs who came to share that day with us. Number 2, which was very important for me, is that, as you can see, we're now 50 years of age. One of the key things that we had on that particular day was the first secretary manager, an equivalent of what you call a CEO today, was actually in attendance. So let me put this in perspective for you. This is an individual who was there between 1974 and 1978. He was the CEO, or the then secretary manager. Yvonne, let me disclose, I was born in 1978. So here's a scenario whereby I'm shaking the hand of the gentleman who was running this institution before I was born.
Wow.
So that was mind-boggling for me and mind-blowing. And it just demonstrated that in the last 50 years, there's been a baton after baton after baton that has been passed over the many generations of CEOs and managers to where I am today. In addition to that, we did have many guests who did turn up, both the cabinet secretary for cooperatives, Dr. Oparanya was in attendance, the cabinet secretary for tourism and wildlife, who, as you might know, was also a former chair, was also there. And of course, we had very many of our former chairmen and former board members and all the board members and chairmen of the various SACCOs in attendance as well. So it was a big celebration for us, a big event that I truly did enjoy.
Yeah, and what would you say have been the achievements of Stima Sacco in 50 years? That's a long time. What for you stands out as some of the major milestones?
Let me pick one major milestone. I'd go back to our beginning. In 1974, we were formed by 6 members of the then East Africa Power and Lightning Company. And some of them are still in existence. And the discussions I've had with them is that, are we still relevant to them, 50 years down the line? And the answer I get overwhelmingly is, yes, you're relevant. You're relevant to my needs, even 50 years down the line. And according to me, that's the biggest achievement of Stima Sacco, that 50 years is actually a life cycle for many companies. Many companies would have lived in 50 years and died in 50. But here we are 50 years down the line, looking at the 6 individuals who started us off, including Elijah, who I've just mentioned. And then looking at the 217,000 members we have currently, and being able to connect the dots and to say, we're still relevant as we were to the 6 members we had. According to me, that's the biggest achievement of Stima Sacco.
And what have been some of the impacts on members, their lives, their growth, and helping them achieve their own milestones in life?
Well, there are many, many examples I could give, but perhaps I can pick about 3. I have seen members who were considered unbanked, unworthy of being in the financial sector, being absorbed in Stima. We were the first SACCO to reduce our minimum entry in terms of share capital. At one time, SACCOs had run to 50,000 shillings as share capital. We only put that at 500 bob. And there's a reasoning behind that. You'd find the mamambogas, you'd find the fishmongers, you'd find the shoe cobblers who are in Stima Sacco able to save as small as 20 shillings every day. Initially, that is what they were serving. I have a case study of an individual who started saving 20 bob a day through mobile platforms, but as of right now, they're saving between 500 and 1,000 shillings every day. And that's true in terms of how we're able to build capacity for them so that they're able to save money, and then from the savings that they get, they're also able to invest. I also have cases where individuals were unable to buy housing simply because the housing, the mortgage at 25,000. I've always said that we should be ashamed as a country to only have 25,000 mortgages officially out of a country of more than 55 million shillings. So Stima stepped in to ensure that we have affordable housing at a rate of 9% and below through KMRC.
Yeah.
So I've seen so many of our members being able to actually afford a house who in the past would not be able to do that. And the list goes on and on and on.
So let's speak about some of the challenges and what opportunities they present. 50 years is a long time, there's been impact, but there's also been some challenges in the Sacco sector in general. What do you see as those challenges and what are the opportunities towards overcoming them?
I'll probably separate this into two. One of the key challenges we have generally in the Sacco sector is our lack of access in terms of regulation. So the regulation is a bit restrictive on two ends. One is the national payment system, which you do not have access to. And number two, you cannot trade in foreign exchange, which becomes problematic for an institution like in the magnitude of Stima Sacco, whereby we have very many members in the diaspora, but we are unable to trade with them in their foreign currency, and we have to do that in Kenya shillings. So that restricts us to only lending to them and them selling to us on a Kenya shilling. And of course, if you factor in the hedging factor, there could be a loss in that. So I think that's one of the key challenges I've seen in the sector. And the solution behind this, and I think you've seen a research from financial sector deepening that showcases that it is indeed time for Kenyan SACCOs to become part and parcel of the national payment system. And regulations are already in place. If you were to look at the Sacco Society's bill, it very clearly puts in place a platform for creating what we call a Sacco Central. And the Sacco Central will be that vehicle that the likes of Stima Sacco would be able to utilize to gain access to the NPS. And once we do that, and look at it this way, Yvonne, the growth that we've had as an institution has been done in that restrictive environment. So you can only imagine how far we in the Sacco sector potentially would be able to grow and solve more socioeconomic problems just by having an access to the NPS. And I think that is going to be done in the next few years or so.
All right, if you look forward to the next 50 years, I mean, you've been able to get here and overcome quite a few challenges, but in the age we're in, innovation would be key. And for sustainability, to be able to do another 50 years and, perhaps 50 more, what do you see as Stima Sacco's, move into the innovation space to ensure sustainability?
So technology is part and parcel of our growth. It goes back to my previous answer. We have had restriction in terms of what we can do. So necessity becomes the mother of invention. And Stima Sacco is a very classic example of an institution that is very innovative. Everything that we have done has been coming from a perspective that in terms of regulation-wise, or in terms of even the technological platform, we never had. So we've invested very heavily around our technological platform in terms of mobile banking, internet banking, agency banking, in terms of ensuring that our services are available to every and each of our members across the globe. We are able to do that. So I don't look at technology as a trend in Stima. We're not there to be part of the trend. We're rather there as a disruptor. We're there to ensure that we can be able to be a guinea pig of as many technologies as possible, be it is artificial intelligence, be it is blockchain technologies. This is something that we're looking at and looking at how best can we apply it so that we can be able to better serve our membership.
Yeah, and as you go forward, you have your strategic plan for 2025, 2029. What are some of the key pillars of this?
In our strategic plan, I think the first and most important thing would be about member centricity. Let's go back to who we are. We are a Sacco. A Sacco is a cooperative. We truly exist purely for our membership. So in terms of our main pillar is around member centricity, making sure that we're able to develop our members, raise them from where they are to something better. And this we're going to do through things like financial literacy and financial coaching, so that we are not known as an institution that is only profitable. Yes, we're actually the most, if you're to look at the data from SASRA for last year, Stima Sacco made the most in terms of revenue of any Sacco in Kenya or in Africa. But that's not it. It's really truly about ensuring that we are member-centric, being able to identify the problems our members are going through, and also offering them a lot of solutions. So that's one of our key pillars. The second one is around people and culture. This cannot be done without having the right people on board. Now, you talked about technology. So what we've seen is an integration of people and technology. And it's becoming harder to retain people who are very highly skilled. So we do have a good retention rate of about 99%. But even the 1% that do leave, they leave simply because technology has become one of the biggest selling points outside there. Any person who is very good as a system admin, very good in ICT, very good in security operation systems, these are hotcakes in the market. So we're looking at ways whereby we can keep on retaining and attracting the talent that we do need, and also being able to build that capacity within us so that we can move to the next level. The third element around our strategic plan is around efficiency and excellence in operations. That's key for us. Our members, as I've mentioned, are multi-banked. And we know that. And we are not expecting our members not to be multi-banked. That's the Kenyan way. You have mobile banking, you have many telco companies, many fintechs, many banks, many Saccos. So we see that as a reality, and we're realistic around it. But then again, as Stima, then what you try to do is to ensure that our members, everything that they could potentially want anywhere outside there, they're able to get it internally. And we're able to get it better, and we're able to have a better competitive advantage by giving better customer service to our members. So that's the third element. And the last one is around financial sustainability. We've been here for 50 years. We need to be here for the next 50 years. So the kind of decisions that we make are very important. What kind of dividend rates do we give for the next 5 years, 10 years, and 50 years? What kind of products and services are we going to maintain? And are we having a long-term outlook? Instead of making short-term decisions, are we able to make 50-year decisions so that hopefully one day, 50 years from now, somebody could be saying the same story I said around Elijah, that, hey, there used to be a CEO here 50 years ago, and this is the foundation he laid for us. Right. And this is exactly where we are.
Yeah, as we close, your final call to action to those multi-banked, persons today, about, the Sacco and in general, and why this is it still an important tool for personal growth and development for customers?
Definitely it is. And I'll say this way, when I look at the kind of leadership that we bring on board, I'm a student of Richard Branson, Virgin Airlines. I have worked in the past closely with Bob Collymore. I have been lucky to work with Michael Joseph in a different time. Yeah. And I look up to those, and I keep on asking, what is it that they have brought on board for the institutions that they run? And is there anything that we can learn from that? And a lot of it is about having servitude in terms of leadership, having the humility of knowing that sometimes you don't have all the answers, but sometimes as a leader, you need to be in the forefront, to take some element of calculated risks that can take us to the next level. And I think that's what Stima Sacco has done. If you were to look at our leadership, our governance, our technological platform, all of these point out to an institution that is very sound, that for 50 years we have been here. For 50 years we've taken those good calculated risks to take us where we are. And we think from that very conservative way of growing a business, we should be able to grow this for another 50 years or so. So my assurance to our members, both of those who are new and those who are joining, and those potentially who are yet to join, is that come join the leading Sacco in Kenya. And my assurance to you is threefold. Number one, your principal, that is your money, will always be safe and guaranteed. Number two, you'll always access it. And number three, which is also very important, you will see it grow. So come and become part and parcel of us, because the surety is that as Stima Sacco, we're here for you. We have been there for 50 years, and I assure you in the next 50 years or so, inshallah, if I'm still around, you can mark this and bookmark it somewhere that we're still going to be here.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Gamaliel Hassan, the CEO of Stima DT Sacco, on their 50-year anniversary and what lies ahead for them and for the Sacco movement in general. Thank you so much for being with us on this week's edition.
Thank you so much. Asante sana.
All right. Asante. Thank you.
Nashukuru.
Thank you very much.